guarantee you, you'll find on average 20% improvement in cost savings. Let's talk about practical solutions to overcome the costs that are stealing your profit. The invisible costs that are taken away. When I look at costs, two types of costs. There are direct costs and indirect costs that are truly holding back you having a profitable business. These costs typically, they're hard to find, and it's not until you start having a financial relationship with your business and your finances that you somehow start seeing these things. And when you start doing that, the profits will start coming in.
If we're not growing, you're not growing.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast where we're talking about your profit that's getting stolen, the invisible costs that are taken away. If you don't know who I am, I'm Nathan Rigney. I am the Profit Generator, and I am a Profit First Professional, 2024 Profit First Professional of the Year, proud to say that one, and I am the owner of NGR Accounting. In today's episode, we're providing actionable advice and steps for you to identify and eliminate those hidden costs in your business that are affecting your profitability. And I'm talking about more than just the obvious expenses that you can see. We want to show you the way that you can reduce, remove, or renegotiate those expenses. So, the nature of your profit and how those costs are sucking you dry and your profit is going. When I look at costs, two types of costs. There are direct costs and indirect costs that are truly holding back you having a profitable business. By way of example, I'm going to go through those direct costs. Let's look at one example, unnecessary subscriptions. So many businesses have unnecessary subscriptions. It could be software you don't use, or it could be you paying for software for stuff that you already get for free. So a great example of this is you're paying for Zoom when you have an Office 365 subscription. In that subscription, it already includes Teams. These are the type of costs you want to remove. Another great example, high interest loans. So particularly from credit cards where the interest rate is around 20%, or even worse, and I see this so often, online lenders like Wallet Wizard, and that's just one of many, but I know Wallet Wizard, I just looked today online, and this video has been recorded in January 2025. The interest rate they charge is 4.8%. You know what? You gotta try and find a better deal. Whether it's a credit card debt or an online, quick, easy bit of finance that you've got, you need to see if you can improve the interest rate and find a better deal. These costs are costs that you want to renegotiate. Another great example, unused space in maybe your office or a factory, wherever you work from. What could you be doing better? But typically what I see is when a business is got that extra space, effectively what's happening is you're paying for the whole area, but you're only using a percentage of it, wherever it's a small, big percentage, but there's a percentage you're not using. You need to think through how you can reduce that cost. And that could be as simple as subletting the unused space. Or if your lease is up and you're not committed, you could be downsizing to a smaller space. Maybe working from home, or maybe looking at a co-working space. These are type of costs that you want to reduce. So direct costs, you can see clearly that usually these type of direct costs, they stand out. Like, it's quite obvious, especially when you have a half-empty office, that you should be doing something about. You need to be checking out what your options are and what you can do. The other type of costs that I see quite often is indirect costs. These costs can be a consequence of direct costs being out of control. But these costs typically, they're hard to find, and it's not until you start having a financial relationship with your business and your finances that you somehow start seeing these things. Or it could even be like, if they're really quite hidden, getting someone like an accountant to show you. So continuing with my previous example about the unused space, by implementing any of the strategies that I've suggested, by looking at the unused space, implementing any of the strategies to reduce the unused space would also save you in variable costs from running that office. So that could be running costs for heating and cooling, appliances that do that like air conditioning, or general electrical costs or just even general maintenance costs. If you were to halve your space, you would then have half of those indirect costs that you're not even really thinking about. Other indirect costs, like let's talk about operational inefficiencies leading to resource wastage. And that sounds like a whole lot of jargon, so I've got to apologize for it. But, typically, if I had to sum that up, inefficiencies of a resource being like a staff member and wasting their time. So, as an example, a staff member chasing money that's owed to the business. So you've already done all the hard work and now you're paying a staff member to chase the money. So what you need to do is you need to be a little bit planned. You've got to think about how can you reduce that task for that staff member to committing to collecting for debtors or payments that are owed by the business by having better policies in place, or using AI, or even like in Xero, it has reminders to send out invoices that are unpaid. You can send emails out, you can use AI, you can use technology to send a reminder out. What I would particularly say is using software that's out there, like a program that we use in my business and a lot of service-based businesses use, called Ignition, that automatically collects payments off your clients once you invoice them. So sometimes it's about, even like we look at these indirect costs, it's actually just about being a little bit smarter. The next one when it comes to indirect costs, and it's a cost to the business owner, and you can't see it, but business owners spending time on low value tasks rather than high value tasks where they're going to earn more money, right? More money in high value invoice generating activities. So my advice to you is the cost is actually you doing work that you shouldn't do, you should be giving to someone else at a lower cost. So the advice to you is to stay in your lane. Do the work that makes you the most money and give the tasks that you shouldn't be doing to the appropriate person in the business. And if you don't have an appropriate person, find the appropriate person. Whatever you got to do, find that person. So let's talk about the challenges that business owners need to overcome when it comes to those costs sucking dry their profit. So whether it be direct or indirect costs, you need to really look at them and say, well, I need to remove them, reduce them, and renegotiate them when you're going through this process. I guarantee you, you'll find on average 20% improvement in cost savings. And that's 20% improvement is the average I see that gets wiped off OPEX and can be put back towards paying you a better salary, putting towards profit, or even better, if you've got debt in the business, paying down the debt that you have and getting rid of that nightmare that's hanging over your head. When it comes to cost though, increasing your profit, what I have seen is the hardest ones to identify or face up to that are usually the ones that are going to help you skyrocket your profit and, just not skyrocket the profit, but also overall make everyone in your business a whole lot happier. So here are two examples. My first one is, firing the clients who cause you heartache. And you try and they're never happy. They're still not happy. You overservice them and you get, at the end of the day, you get underpaid. Guys, you need to look at those sort of clients, those customers you have. If you have them, identify them, fire them. But if you've got, like on a product-based example, right? If we look at products, looking at product lines take too much time, too much cost, are really fiddly, too much effort, and they have the lowest profit margin. Most likely, if you've got a product that's got a low profit margin, but you've got another one that's got a higher profit margin, you're better off focusing on the one that's making you more money. So if you've got a product like that, where it takes a lot of effort, time, it's a low profit margin, there's a lot of risk and not a lot of reward, get rid of that product, find someone else who does it, and if you want to keep adding that product to what you sell, buy it off someone else, rebrand it, and it's yours. So let them take on the risk. You will have a smaller margin, but because you're making more margin and time over on the other product, overall you'll have higher profitability. What you need to do is you need to shift your focus to a profitable product line. The second one that I look at is poor investment in the growth of your business. And this probably comes down a bit of a mindset, and particularly I would see this, if you go back to my podcast earlier in the year, we talked about the hoarder, the money type who holds on to every cent, is afraid to spend and invest. So if we looked at that sort of person, and if they invested some money in, like some capital, some money, and that's another accountanese term, sorry about that, but if they invested money or capital into their business by way of maybe building a website, building their brand image, and trying to get a marketing plan in place. But if they've got this mindset of, I'm afraid to spend the money, so you know what, I'm only going to invest part of what I really should invest in, almost like what I would call a half-assed attempt that looks cheap, and what's going to happen is it's going to attract cheap, painful customers. So you need to kind of understand that the true cost to your business is therefore by not investing the right money into that marketing plan, that it's actually going to start attracting the wrong customers and it's going to drag your business down. The cost is you not actually looking at your mindset and thinking the relationship you have with money. So the reality is these costs, they're examples that can be tackled once you open your mind. And you really got to explore your personality and address the fears of doing something that's totally against your gut instincts. Your gut is what actually holds you back. Our gut instinct sometimes protects us from doing something because we're so fearful of doing anything. But you need to overlook that. You've got to overcome it. And you've got to realize that if you get past that, the reality is that you can actually build a really profitable business. Let's talk about practical solutions to overcome the costs that are stealing your profit. The first thing I would say is, very basically, you could do this today. Go through your bank statements, look at the debit column, and mark down every expense with one of those 3 R's I mentioned. Do you need to remove it? Do you need to reduce it? Or do you need to renegotiate it? And when you are going through that process, I want you to be honest. I want you to look around where you work from. I want you to stop. And I want you to start thinking about what needs to be done. The other thing I would say as well is when you're doing that, take yourself away from being the business owner and start thinking like the shareholder. And look at it as if the CEO, which is you, is stealing that profit payment or that dividend from you, that reward, that profit for the investment and time you put into the business. And you've got to ask yourself, are you going to be that shareholder who's going to accept no profit payment, no dividend, no return? Is it acceptable? Yes or no? The other thing that I'd say that you've got to do is you've got to delegate those low value tasks and focus on those high impact activities. Stay in your lane, and if you don't have someone to delegate to, find someone who can. The other thing as well is getting help. You don't need to do this all by yourself. Just like your favourite football team, they have a coach. So, if you reach out to someone like me, I can help you go through this process. Don't forget as well, like Profit First has tools to help you uncover and identify the direct and indirect hidden costs. And that's something that we do in our 6-week Profit First program. Let me ask you the following questions. What are the low value tasks that are taking up time in your business? Are you leaving money on the table by not dealing with problem customers? Where can you find extra profit? Where is yours hiding? The next thing as well is it's all about education as well. Have a look at the videos I'm doing on Profit First. Have a look at the Generator Profit School, the program that we've got going, and what can you do to overcome those? Please make sure you subscribe because I'm going to be coming up, and this is just a little sneak peek, but we're going to be having a 5-day profit challenge that's going to help you overcome a lot of these problems in your business. I want to reinforce the importance of tackling hidden costs to achieve sustainable profitability in your business. I really want to encourage you guys to continue listening to what I'm doing here and look at the Profit Generator School and get on our waiting list so that you can have a deeper insight and the tools to help you push forward to actually improve your profit in your business. Guys, I want you to share your stories. I want you to ask questions and I want you to connect with me. I want to understand the scenario, how life is for you and your business. I want to understand it. So that's the wrap of our episode about the costs in your business and what you can do to reduce those. If you take a lot of those things that I've just mentioned, you can reduce your costs in your business. And when you start doing that, the profits will start coming in. So before I go, I just want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek about our next episode. We're going to be talking about how to stop the profit self-sabotage. Well, that's it, guys, for another episode. My name's Nathan Rickney. I am the Profit Generator. I'm a Profit First professional and Profit First of the year 2024, and I'm proud to help you find the profit in your business. I'll see you next time.